I am Geoff Eido. This is Lunacy, where we discern the sacred from the insane and admit that whether we like it or not, we are all profoundly affected by the cycles of the moon. How? Today on the podcast, it's just me. You know what I mean? Solo cast, all right? Had a guest. The time didn't work out. I'm going to meet with them next week, but I will deliver on a weekly basis, at least until September. We're going to go every other week in September so we can do a little more strategy. Okay? Today on the podcast, it's going to be a bit of a smorgasbord. You know what I mean? If you're looking for a very eloquent, very executed, very direct kind of a podcast talk, you should just listen to another one, because this is going to be kind of popcornish, a little all over the place, different things I wanted to talk about. But I'm actually excited about sharing with you today a bunch of different ideas and thoughts that I've been having in stories and things that I haven't shared before that I'm going to share with you right now. So I hope you enjoy. Yep. Good deal. Yoo-hoo. The first thing I want to do is I want to get present. I want to talk about being right here, right now. And I really mean that exactly. I mean that I just want us to just drop in, you know? I just want to really get a sense for myself of my own breath, and I want you to come on this little journey with me. So the first thing, let's just take a deep breath together. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Two more. And now I just want to drop in. I just want us to focus on being here in this moment right now. Whatever it is that you're doing, if you're driving, if you're watching this on YouTube, if you're just listening, if you're in bed, however it is that you consume this podcast, let's just be present. Let's feel our toes. Let's feel our feet, move them around a little bit. Feel our ankles, our heels, our calves. Feel our knees, our thighs. Feel our pelvis. Shake our tuchus a little bit. Shake your tuchus. Shake your tuchus. Move our bellies up and down. Move our backs. You know. Shake our hips. Move our hips around. Let's flex our muscles, you know. Our chest. Our backs. Rotate our head around a little bit, maybe. That feels nice. Yep. Move our arms. Feel our shoulders. Feel our elbows. Feel our wrists, feel our fingers. And let's just give ourselves permission to just be here right now, however it is that we are and however it is that we're not. If we're in a good mood, great. If we're in a bad mood, so be it. Let's just give ourselves permission to just be right here, right now. Whatever thoughts we might have coming, just let them go. Watch them fly away like little clouds in our minds. Whatever concerns we might have, let's just put them on a hook, you know? Let's just put them on a hook. Like, okay, I'm wondering, you know what I'm wondering right now? I'm wondering what I'm going to have for dinner, okay? I'm going to put that on a hook, okay? And I'm going to come back to it when I'm done with this podcast. Whatever it is for you, you might have some worries or concerns, people you need to communicate with, deadlines, things that you've got to get done. Let's just take all that stuff and just be like, okay, hey, I hear you. I see you. I'm with you. You can even write it down. I'm going to put you on a hook. I'm going to come back to you at the end of this podcast so that I can just be present with myself and with lunacy. I want to start this podcast off by sharing a story with you. It's a story I have not shared yet, but I think you'll enjoy it. It was a very pivotal moment for me in my life. You see, my wife and I, we were moving up here to Rough and Ready, California, little town outside of Grass Valley. Beautiful in the foothills and the forest. And we had put an offer on the house. They had accepted the offer. We were about to come up here. And my snowboard and Christine's skis were all in Colorado at my dad's place. He lived there. And I wanted to get them sent here so that we could go skiing in Tahoe, which is about an hour away from where I live right now. So I asked our friend to send it to us. And when she was at the UPS office, she called me. In the moment that she called me, I was teaching a class. I was teaching musical theater to 9-year-olds in a park in Santa Monica during COVID. And so I had like a minute because I had my co-teacher was there with me and she was able to teach that little part, but I didn't have a lot of time. I was in a rush. And, she asked me, she was like, hey, do you want to get the insurance on this? And I was like, no, I don't think I need the insurance. No problem. Just go ahead and send it. And I neglected to tell her to make sure to have signature required for this package. So she sent it off. Then my wife and I, Christine, my fiance at the time, we went to a ceremony. We did an ayahuasca ceremony. And we had a really beautiful experience. It was a very deep experience for both of us. And just a lot of really great things came out of it. And I just came home feeling absolutely on top of the world. And we got home very late at night. It was on a Saturday night. I think we got home at like midnight or something. And in the mailroom at the condo complex where we were living at the time in Playa del Rey, is outdoors. And Christine noticed this box. The box had her skis in it and her boots, her ski boots. She was like, oh, that's great. That's here. And I was like, that's weird. I wonder where my snowboard is. And, so we went home, we took the stuff. So her skis and her boots were there. So we took them in and I thought, gee, I wonder where my snowboard is. And then I thought about it some more and I was like, gee, if her skis and boots came, then the snowboard must have also come at the same time. But here it is not. It is missing, gone. And then it dawned on me that it had been stolen. And the reality was that at this time in our complex, packages were getting stolen. It just started happening during COVID. People started stealing stuff. And it was a real problem. A lot of people were complaining about it, but I hadn't thought about it. It had just started. I wasn't really aware. And then my snowboard was gone. And when I say my snowboard was gone, okay, it's a snowboard. But first of all, I confess snowboarding is my favorite thing to do, sports-wise, outdoors-wise. I love snowboarding. If I could, just snowboard every single day of my life, I would do it. Cruising through the trees and the powder, I would do it. It's such a beautiful experience. It allows me to get into a flow state that's really amazing. The metaphor that it affords me for life and how to flow with life and the things that are coming at me, the way that I am able to embrace nature through the trees, the way that I'm able to, in Colorado, just get up really high in the Rockies and Aspen, hike the bowl, get to places where you can't get there unless you're really skilled at this sport. And then when you're there, a lot of times you're by yourself with the trees and the squirrels and the birds. And it's just amazing. I can't tell you how many times I've been snowboarding by myself and I've just stopped and actually just sat there and cried because I was so moved by the experience, by how fortunate I am to have this beautiful practice of snowboarding. So my snowboard was stolen, but it wasn't just my snowboard. It was my snowboard, my boots, my bindings, my jacket. This jacket was given to me by my father. It is a one-of-a-kind jacket. It is irreplaceable. My snow pants. I had purchased a jacket for my fiance. There was a really expensive jacket and pants for her as well. This thing, my snowboard bag was chocked full of all of these possessions. In total, at least $2,500 worth of stuff that I had accumulated over a decade. And now it was gone. So I went from this place of being so gratified and just feeling so good about life and my direction and what I'm up to and really expanding my music and who I am as a person and sharing more, to totally crestfallen. I literally spent half a day in bed under the covers. So sad, so ashamed, so robbed. For those of you who have had the misfortune of having something stolen, there's just nothing like it. It's so horrendous feeling inside, like something that you really loved got taken from you. And then there's this hole, and I attached to it was also all of this tremendous shame. Man, why didn't I tell her to put the signature required on the thing? Obviously, that's what you should do. Oh, and by the way, I called UPS and they're like, well, you didn't get the insurance, so you get $100. That's it. And I was just devastated. I was really, really depressed, from hero to zero in like 5 minutes. And, but there was something in the back of my mind that thought, you know what? I think this might work out. Something told me, something in my intuition said to me, this thing is not over. You're going to see that snowboard again. And I had no idea how that was going to happen. And there was a large part of me that was just like, whatever, intuition. But, I'm doing all this spiritual work, right? Plant medicine stuff that does actually heighten your intuition. That is an actual side effect that I have personally experienced. And so I was like, okay, all right. Okay, well, good. Let's see what happens. And then I drug myself out of bed and I posted in the Facebook group that I had lost my snowboard. And then I was really bummed about it. And my friend Chris messaged me. And in the message, he sent 2 clips. One of a guy walking past my snowboard looking at it. He was a white guy. He had a goatee. It was very blurry. You couldn't see really what he looked like other than the goatee part. You saw him look at it. And then the second video was of him taking it. He grabs the snowboard and he walks off with it. And he said, Geoff, I think I know who did it. In fact, I'm like 98% sure that I know who did it. And I was like, what are you talking about? You know who did it? Who did it? He's like, well, I don't know if I can tell you. There's an ongoing investigation and et cetera, et cetera. I don't know if it's a good idea. I don't want you to get in trouble. I don't want you to do something that's going to endanger you, And I was like, you got to tell me. You have to tell me. Because if I wait for whatever is going to happen, the law, to figure this out, I'm never going to see that snowboard ever again. It's going to be years. And I can't really, I can't trust the system to work this out for me. So who took it? And he told me. He didn't know the guy's name, but he knew where he lived. And the reason that he knew where he lived was, dumbass, after he stole a bunch of stuff, went back to his building, to his mailbox, and unlocked his mailbox. So it was clear that whoever had that mailbox was the thief. And so he told me where this person lived, this guy lived. And I was livid. I'm not a violent person, okay? I've had one real fight in my life. And it wasn't real. It was a slapping fight with Ivan Steinke in the 5th grade. Maybe it was actually the 3rd grade. We were on the kids' playground. No, it was in the 3rd grade. And Ivan Steinke and I had a slapping fight, and no one lost. Okay. It's not to say that, I don't know how to defend myself. I do know how to defend myself. I did an episode on the criticality of self-protection with my buddy Chris. And I highly encourage you to listen to that. However, I haven't had the misfortune of getting into a fight. I've always been able to talk to the person and reason with them or just get out of the deal. You know what I mean? I was so mad. I was a little afraid that I was going to clobber this guy. And also, I didn't know what he looked like. I had just seen this sort of like outline of him. He could have been Arnold Schwarzenegger, So, but whatever. This is my snowboard. Pretty positive homie took it. So I gathered my wife and I said, listen, honey, I want you to stand out here. Okay, just cut that part out. So I got Christine to come with me. There's an outdoor patio on all of the condos where we lived. And it's got a chair and stuff and whatever furniture they had. And it has a back door that you can exit out of. So I was like, you wait out here. And I went in and I pounded on the door. Pound, 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 pound. Nothing. Pound, 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 nothing. And I was like, did you see anything? She didn't see anything. And also, by the way, the blinds were open. So you could actually see into this person's living room. This person had a bunch of guitars and some other stuff. They were a musician. That was also like super bummer about it. I was like, how can you be a musician and steal stuff? It makes no sense to me. Now, I don't know why my idea that like being a musician gives you some like ethical superiority, but that's obviously a bunch of bullshit because this kid did not have that. You know what I mean? He was a thief. But, as a musician, you think other musicians are going to have some heart and soul because they're musicians. And so they're singing for something. Not the case. Okay. But even so, any case, we could see that there was nobody home. This guy was not there. There was no movement. I'm pounding on the door and nobody comes out. You could see totally into their living room. You couldn't see into their bedrooms, but it's like enough, I'm yelling, anybody in there? Anybody home? Nobody comes to the door. Now, it was right around Thanksgiving that all of this went down. So he was out of town. He lived with his lady and they were gone. So every day I came back and I knocked on the door. Every day I came back. Once, twice a day at least, I was going around looking. You know what I mean? Where's this guy? Where's this fella? No sign of him. No sign of him. This is like Thursday. So Thanksgiving, right? Friday, Saturday, Sunday, nothing. My wife flies to Chicago for a work trip. It's Sunday night. I wake up at 3 a.m. and I think to myself, it's now or never. Because I had noticed that the bedroom window was open. Now, you couldn't see in the bedroom because there was this leopard print curtain that he had over the window. All right? Come on, leopard print curtain? What are you doing in there? Huh, guy? What do you got? You got a rotating bed? Does it vibrate? Can I put quarters in it? What are you doing? Leopard print curtain. What kind of asshole has a leopard print curtain? Obviously somebody who steals fucking snowboards. Anyway, so I go out of my unit and I put on my black hoodie and I'm wearing my black COVID mask and I go to my own window and I see how difficult it is to pry the screen off of the window. Turns out, not challenging in the least. You don't even really need a knife, though I did have one. And I went over there. It's 2:30. I looked around. Coast is completely clear. I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. Heart is racing. I peel off the screen. I push the fucking leopard print curtain aside. I turn my flashlight on. And there at the foot of the bed is my fucking snowboard. Right there. Sitting there. In its bag. Exactly as it looked the day that I packed it. Okay? Sitting at the end of the bed. Now I'm steaming. I'm like, what's right there? What am I going to do? So I'm thinking about it. saying to myself, what do I do here? Do I call the cops? I don't know. Do I do that? What do I do? What do I do? What do I do? I got to get the snowboard. Do I get the snowboard? Sometimes, and this I highly recommend, I will ask my gut. I was told by a friend of mine, we did like a human design thing, which is sort of like you can look it up. It's like I don't know how to describe it. It's a little bit of like a Chinese astrology kind of a thing. And it sort of tells you what things about your type and who you are. And I'm interested in that kind of thing, like I like to know that I'm a Virgo. There's some of the aspects of that resonate with me. To be completely candid about everything, I really don't believe anything unless it totally resonates with my heart. And then I'll believe it. And even then I'm like, well, I don't know if this is actually true, but I like the idea of it. So one of the ideas that I like about my human design, which does really resonate with me, is that I am ruled by my gut, by my sacrum. And if you're ruled by your gut and your sacrum, the thing to do whenever you have a big choice to make is to ask your gut, should I do this? Should I not do this? Is this the right choice? And you'll hear a sound in response, or And you want to allow yourself to make that noise, or So I'm standing outside of the window, contemplating grand theft, granted of my own property, but whatever, breaking and entering, contemplating that. And I asked my gut, should I get my snowboard? Are you sure? Should I leave the snowboard here for the cops to come? Are you sure? Okay, I'm doing this. So I pushed the fucking leopard print asshole curtain aside. Fuck, what asshole has a fucking leopard print curtain? I can't get over this. Know what I mean? Listen, if you anybody who has a fucking leopard print curtain out there, would you please take it and go burn it right now? Take it and burn it in a safe spot in your yard, all right, with some fucking leaves. All right, get rid of it, because you're an asshole if you have a fucking leopard print curtain. Thick. I push the asshole leopard print blanket curtain aside, and I crawl through the window. And when I get inside of this asshole's apartment, I'm sorry, but whatever, man. Guy's acting like an asshole. When I get inside of the homie's apartment, there are boxes everywhere of other people's stuff with other people's names on it. And I looked around and then at this point I was like, man, I can't believe this. And then at this point I got freaked out because I was like, okay, now I'm the one breaking the law. Now I'm the one breaking and entering. And this guy who I've never seen before, who could look like Arnold Schwarzenegger, might come home at any minute. Now, it was 2:00 in the morning, but whatever, man. I've never burglarized anything before in my life. I don't even know what that's like. So I take my snowboard, I stuff it out the window. Okay. I climb through. I take the asshole leopard print curtain. Asshole leopard print? What are you fucking doing? Who has a leopard print? What is this, fucking 1972? What are you doing? You better have a fucking mustache, all right? With fucking curly Q things, and you better have a fucking full-on goatee that like goes down to your dick if you're gonna fucking have a leopard print curtain and pull it off. I don't even know what you're doing. So I straighten his asshole curtain back, and I put the screen back, and I take my snowboard and I lock it in my condo. Then I can't do anything else. I'm stuck. So first of all, I got my snowboard back. I'm stoked about this, but I can't say anything to the guy because there is an investigation. They have actually called LAPD and the Postal Service. There's like a pronged investigation into this guy's thievery, and he's going to get it. And so I can't say anything to him. I have to pretend like everything's cool. But of course, I wanted desperately to say something to him because fuck that fucking guy with his fucking leopard print curtain. You know what I mean? What an asshole. And so I did keep looking for him. And then one day, I saw him by the pool. In fact, I saw him talking to my cat. My cat was, around the pool. There's a gate around the pool. And he was like petting my cat, which I should have just murdered him right there. You know what I mean? For petting my cat. Just kidding. I don't care. He was there with his girlfriend. And I saw him and I was like, I got to say something to this guy. But at the same time, I was like, I can't say anything to this guy. And so I was like, oh, hey. And he was like, oh, hey, man, how's it going? You're the guy that stands outside of his apartment and plays music, right? Because I did. I used to do that. I would sit on the porch and play songs for people because it was COVID. What else are you going to do? And I was like, yeah, that's me. And he was like, man, I loved your music. Can you believe this fucking leopard curtain guy? All right. The leopard curtain thief dude loves my music. So I'm like, okay. Well, thank you, man. I really appreciate it. And thanks. And he like introduced himself and I said hello. And he was like, yeah, man, we should jam sometime. And I was like, yeah, sure thing. All right. See you later. I can't even tell you how frustrating it was to talk to this guy and not be able to say to him what I wanted to say, which is, what the fuck, man? Why are you stealing all these people's things? Don't you realize how bad it hurts to have your stuff stolen? Like, don't you realize the harm that you're doing to all these people at an already incredibly stressful time when we can't even fucking leave our houses? Like, you're stealing our stuff. And a lot of the stuff, by the way, I knew, not just my things, which were really important to me, were also really important things that were being sent from other relatives to people, and like cookies and care packages and God only knows what stuff that people care about. You know what it's like to get a package and then you don't get it. Like really important keepsakey type stuff. I really, really wanted to say all of that to him and I never got the opportunity. And by the way, he did get evicted and he did get charged with something, but I think it was like totally minimal. I feel like he just totally got off pretty much scot-free from the whole affair, which is just really sad. However, having said that, I do believe in karma. I believe you reap what you sow. And I do believe for sure that guy does not have a happy future coming at him for doing all that stuff. And at the same time, the moral of the story for me is stand up for yourself. Do what's right for you. And I did also talk to my lawyer about the whole thing. And he said, you would only be guilty of trespassing because you're stealing your own property, not even breaking and entering because the window was open. In any case. All right, so that's my snowboard story. Thank you very much. Very exciting. Fucking I stole my snowboard back from the Leopard King. Asshole. So I've been wanting to share that story with you because I thought it was important. It's important to me. And also, I think it's really like, it demonstrates for me how important it is to stand up for what's right in the world, Like I question, well, why did all of this happen? Why did I create a situation for myself that my snowboard would get stolen? Because I did that. I didn't take the time and stop when she called me, when my friend called me to ask about shipping the snowboard, to really think about it, think it through and say, oh, make sure there's a signature required. Why didn't I do that? What's the larger lesson here? And for me, the larger lesson is that you got to fight for what's right for yourself. And if you really know that something is right, do not cower away from taking the actions that you need to take to make it right. It's really important. If you're enjoying this program, if you love Lunacy, please consider becoming part of our team. Go to patreon.com/Lunacy Podcast. You can choose a number of different levels to support us on a monthly basis so that we can continue the work of exploring the love operating system, how best to be of service, and how to live life to the fullest. Thank you so much for your support. Much love, everybody. Okay, so now I'm going to shift gears. I had the really good fortune. I'm going to interview this friend of mine, Zach Sterner, coming up. I believe not next week I'll be interviewing this woman who just turned 100 years old. And that's super exciting. But then the following week, I'm interviewing this man named Zach Sterner. He is a chef at a restaurant called 1228 that is here in Penn Valley near me. And it is an amazing restaurant. And I went there last night so I could talk to him about being on this show. And I found myself sitting next to his grandfather, who's 87 years old. And we had this amazing conversation. This guy is a beautiful, beautiful human being. And one of the first things that he said to me was, he was like, don't believe what you read. Don't believe what people tell you. Only believe what resonates with your heart. Only believe what really resonates with your heart. And then he said something else, which is, every day is a school day if you're willing to learn. And I thought those two things were so beautiful. This guy, 87, kicking it. Know what I mean? Old hippie, all right, from Sonoma. And on the note of, I for sure 100% believe that it's really important to really recognize what resonates with me as a person and avoid information and stories that do not resonate. It doesn't mean that you should bury your head in the sand and pretend like there's not a war going on in the Ukraine, but it does mean that you should be very cognizant of what it is that you're consuming and what the effect of that consumption is on you. For instance, if you're sitting there watching a bunch of conspiracy videos on YouTube, maybe stop doing that. Is that really serving you? Even if any of that stuff is actually true. If you're comparing yourself to others and looking at all the things that they have, is that serving you? No, it's not. In fact, one of my favorite quotes actually is from a good friend of mine. And he says that the three weapons of the devil are shame, guilt, and comparison. Shame, guilt, and comparison. If you're shaming yourself, if you're feeling guilty about things, and if you're comparing yourself to others and looking at what they have as opposed to what you have, I don't know about the devil, but if you consider that the devil is the voice inside that is constantly tearing us down and bringing us away from our truth, not allowing for me to really heal and be present and be here now and be kind to other people because I'm constantly comparing myself to others, or I'm feeling guilt or shame, then yeah, those are the three weapons of the devil. Okay, so now I'm just going to I want to share with you some things that I've written relatively recently that I think are worth communicating. How do you express wisdom with confidence and not arrogance? By recognizing that the voice of wisdom does not come from the ego, but rather a much deeper inner knowing. By seeing that although the ego likes to cling to words and ideas as a part of identity, there is ultimately nothing to cling to. The great flood of the river of life takes us all. What's fascinating to me about that, and after I wrote it, and even now I've just been thinking about it a lot, the great river of life takes us all. There are things that we can prepare for. There are things that we can consider doing so that we are setting ourselves up powerfully for the future. If we, for instance, I'm about to release a song. On September 15th, I'm releasing a song called All Will Sing. And I'm really excited about this song. I did a music video for it. And I took it as far as I possibly could take it in terms of the production, in terms of the mixing, in terms of getting it mastered. I got a spatial audio mix even, which is like an Atmos mix, right? So there's a bunch of things that I can do to prepare and to set myself up. And of course, it's like that with everything in our lives, right? Any sort of profession or endeavor that we are looking to achieve, right? There's a lot of preparation that goes into it. But then at some point, we have to just succumb to the river of life, to the great flood. And at that point, that's it. That's all we can do. And then at that point, we hope that the raft that we've built is good enough to sail on. This great flood, however, is really intriguing to me. I have these ideas of control, and I think all of us have that same kind of idea that maybe there's a way that if I just plan enough that I can control the outcome of what's going to happen. And in a way that's true, you can prepare, but in another way, it's not. In another way, is not. And part of the thing about wanting to control all of it is that it does prevent us from experiencing the river. Part of the thing about wanting to control all of it is that it does prevent us from being in flow. Part of the thing about wanting to control all of it is that it disallows us from being fully present in this moment, right here, right now. God is not something you can read in a book, he says as he writes this. God is what you discover. The animacy of all things, the breath, the wind, the fire, the water. God is in between. The pursuit of happiness. Okay. Sorry, I keep sharing these tidbits. These are things that I've been writing down recently. Here's another one. The pursuit of happiness is a fallacy. If you are pursuing it, you'll never find it. Happiness is a way of being, a choice. The access? Gratitude, curiosity. If I can get myself into a place of gratitude, if I can just start being thankful for things, and if I can actually get curious about life and what's happening, even when I'm stuck in traffic, which is crazy for me to say, because I spent 20 years banging my head up against the wall in traffic in Los Angeles, hating my life. Even in traffic, if I can be grateful and if I can access a place of curiosity and just be curious about something else that has nothing to do with where I am, and then I'm stuck in this line of cars and people who are trying to get somewhere at the same time that I am, and they're in my way. If I can access a place of curiosity about anything else, maybe it's with someone that I'm on the phone with. Maybe it's that I'm listening to a podcast that I find interesting. Maybe it's the way that the clouds are forming outside and the light as it penetrates through the little hole, creating a ray onto the earth. Creating a ray onto the earth, like God smiling down with his laser beams, If I can access a place of curiosity and get into and invested in being curious about life and the things that are surrounding me, then I automatically extricate myself from the prison of the traffic, or the prison of the boredom, or the prison of the idea that there's something wrong here, or that I'm not enough. If I can access curiosity, it leads me to a place of happiness. And if I can just be grateful, and by the way, it's so easy to be grateful. You just start listing things that you're grateful for. I'm grateful for this computer. I'm grateful for the light that's behind it that's shining on me so that you can see me. I'm grateful for this microphone. I'm grateful for the pen that I'm holding in my hand and the Lunacy light behind me that I got on Amazon. I'm grateful for Amazon. I'm grateful for the roof over my head. I'm grateful for my wife. I'm grateful for this desk. I'm grateful for my niece and nephews that are coming to visit me this week. That's a good one. I'm so grateful for them. I'm grateful for my family. I'm grateful for my friends. I'm grateful for this shirt that I'm wearing. It's blue. I love blue. It's a cool shirt. You know what? It was in the back of my closet for a really long time. And I was going through my closet, throwing shit away, giving it to the Goodwill. And I found it and I was like, oh my God, I completely forgot about this shirt. It's a beautiful shirt. I'm grateful for this shirt. See, I think part of the issue, I know for me anyway, maybe also for you, is that when I find myself in a depressed place or an unhappy place, I don't feel like being grateful. I don't feel like looking at that stuff because I want to stay in the feeling that I'm having, which is that I'm depressed or unhappy. But if I can stop and just say, you know what, what am I grateful for? Let's just list like 5 things. Or who can I call that I can say what I'm grateful for? Who can I call that I can say what I'm grateful for? It is automatically a way to create happiness in the midst of whatever's going on. One of the things that I've been thinking about lately is I need to share more. I'm doing this podcast and I have music and that kind of thing. But like so many of the things that I do, I just haven't been sharing. And I'm really committed to sharing more. And while I was contemplating that in the meditation weekend that we had last weekend, I was thinking that the people in the audience are intelligent. They will help you to help them to help us to live in harmony. They will help you to help them to help us to live in harmony. So if I'm speaking about something and you have a good thought about it, then you can comment about it. Then together we can create something that's valuable. You can share a reflection of how something that I said or someone I was talking to affected you in a positive way. I'm actually, in the next few months before the end of the year, I'm going to roll out Lunacy Community. And that'll look like a place where anybody who listens to the podcast can go on there and share thoughts and reflections that they have. There'll be somewhat access to guests on the program. There'll be some sort of special offers and ways that you can interact with me more directly, that you and I can interface and create things together, classes and offerings and that kind of thing. I'm really excited about it. Okay. I went to this meditation weekend, and a lot of the teaching was about mistakes and how important mistakes are to make, and how we carry around so much shame for making mistakes. I carry around so much shame for making mistakes, and I've dealt with, like, I guess a lot of it, but it's still there. And I've been really working hard to really shift my context around the idea of making mistakes, around this idea of embracing the suck, around this idea of failing gloriously. And so I wrote the following: I make mistakes. I am a mistake maker, and I fully intend to make many more mistakes in my lifetime. The making of mistakes is what allows us to grow and learn and transmute and transform. Making a mistake is a sacred act. Only we don't treat it that way. We regret, we chastise ourselves, we obsess, we trip on the trip as the trip of the trip ad nauseum, like a black hole. We fall into the trap and then fall some more. We bang our proverbial head against the proverbial road until our proverbial skin peels off our proverbial faces. Ask yourself, when is enough enough? When is it okay to forgive and allow? Trust the experience. And I think that's so beautiful because if we look at our life as an evolutionary process, and we look at our mistakes as gateways to our own success, then we're actually looking from the right perspective. You know, if it doesn't work, try again. You know what I mean? Keep going. Don't quit. See the vision and then keep going. I built a shed. I bought a shed from Home Depot. It is a steel shed. It was like $400. Okay, I got the cheap shed because I'm, whatever. Man, I don't have a lot of money to spend on a shed, you guys, all right? I'm not like Liquid like that where I can go buy the $5,000 tough shed. Nope, I can afford like the $400 steel shed from Home Depot that, doesn't have a disclaimer on it that says it's a real giant pain in the ass to put it together. But that's the case. So I was just like, whatever, I'll just put it together. It'll be fine. Yep. And I put this fucking thing together, and guess what? It was real hard. It was a real pain in the rump roast, man. I'm telling you what, I was putting it, there were so many times during the construction of this thing, I had my friend out there helping me. He's like, man, this is a lot of time. I don't have a lot of time like this. And I was like, well, I appreciate your help. And then I got to a point where I was by myself out there. He was like, I can't afford to give you any more of my time, friend. I'm sorry. And I was like, okay, so he just quit on me. I'm by myself doing this thing. Shit. And then I got to the point where the roof was there, and I got this piece that was supposed to go in the roof, and it did not fit. And it was not going to fit. And I was like, oh my God, are you kidding me? I just wasted literally 2 full days of my life putting this fucking shed together. And now it's all is lost. It's like there's no way that this thing is coming together. And I went inside and I really actually sat down and I was like just so bummed about this shed. And I looked up online and found a video of some guy, thank God, building this shed. And he got to the point where I was at and he was like, this is the hardest part, is getting the roof together. Like you really have to manhandle it and work it. And I realized, I can just push the wall out and then the piece will fit. And I was able to complete the shed. Now, had I just stayed in my failure in the place where I couldn't get it, wasn't going to work, I wouldn't have a shed. But guess what? Come visit if you want, or don't come visit. If you come visit me, you'll find that there is a working shed with an actual roof. Okay? Because I refused to quit on that shed. I won't buy another one, however. Not ever. Nope. Next time, I'm just going to save up for the $5,000 shed. Know what I mean? The easy one put together. Or I'm going to help get somebody to build it for me, or I don't know what, man, but I'm going to just do a different deal on that one. Yep. So if I were to summarize today's podcast, I would say a few things. Number one, fight for what is right for you. Don't listen to anybody else unless it resonates with your heart. Don't pursue happiness. You'll never find it. Be grateful. Be curious. See what happens. Allow the river to flow through you and build a good raft. As always, I love you. I appreciate you. I'm really glad that you're listening. If you want to become part of the Lunacy team, please go to patreon.com/Lunacy podcast and join up our Lunacy team. Soon to come, Lunacy Community. Lunacy is a creation of myself, Geoff Eido, with podcast support from Kimberly Joy Voice. Much love.